Hey y'all, hey, this is Talia Johnson-Huff, the MWBE coach, and you're now tuned in to Blueprint The Culture, right here on Mix 1080 AM, WUFO, and Power 96.5 FM. This is real talk, real stories, real people, let's build. Good morning, Western New York. This is Blueprint The Culture, and I am your host, Talia Johnson-Huff. And today, I always say today is a special day, but this is a special day because I'm not doing the interviewing today. This is the takeover.
I was going to say, this is not Talia Johnson-Huff. I was saying this is the takeover.
Hello.
With Ed Drantch. Good morning. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me as your takeover host today.
Yes.
This is so cool.
It's so cool.
I'm obsessed with you, Talia, and I feel like I've made that very clear.
Oh my gosh.
You are doing such great work in our community, and not only are you doing the work, you're helping others do the work. And I think that's so valid and so important to highlight. How many of us can say that we need help, but then help others doing the same thing?
Yes.
Isn't that so cool?
I think it's surreal sometimes because I'm me.
Yeah.
And so I have to step outside of myself sometimes to take myself seriously. Like I'm really doing it, and I enjoy doing it, and I feel like it's natural, like I was born to do it, honestly.
Born to help others.
Yes.
I really love
absolutely.
that. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Ed Drantch. I'm the morning anchor on Channel 7 WKBW. I'm also an investigative reporter, oftentimes on WUFO Power 96.5, and I'm so happy to be back here with you, Talia. The one thing that you brought up here that I thought was really interesting in what you just said is that, it's surreal for you. You don't often realize it.
Yeah.
That is so powerful to me because somebody yesterday on Instagram or TikTok, one of the social media platforms, I was doing a TikTok live that I do usually every morning about 4:45, and somebody said, well, you're doing this thing on TikTok, you're showing us behind the scenes, but what's cool is that they're able to interact with you and ask questions.
Right.
And one of the questions they had was, well, how do you deal with imposter syndrome? And I said, oh my gosh, what a great question. Because how many of us don't think we're good enough or don't think we're worthy enough for the recognition, the help, the guidance, the direction, and you're doing that. But, I wonder, do you deal with imposter syndrome?
Oh my gosh, Ed, I don't know what was in your coffee this morning, but you are really on to something because literally this was the conversation last night, and I was having this conversation with someone who's so beautiful, and I walked up to her and I was talking about her hair, how beautiful it was, and she was like, thank you, I'm going to take that compliment. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I thought it was kind of a shot at me. And we started talking about imposter syndrome and how often that we deal with it, but we can't talk about it publicly. I do deal with imposter syndrome, and I'm constantly having to be reminded by those who are in my corner, who love me, who are pushing me to push forward and to stop fighting it. And sometimes it becomes, because I look how I look and I'm so forward facing and outward, people think it's fake, but it is so real for me because a lot of times when it's time to post something, I'm like, you don't have to post that. You don't have to share that. And I'm talking to my PR person and she's like, yes, I do. Yes, I will. So it's a really heavy part of my life. And you know what I do? I do mirror talks every single morning. I'm talking to myself and I'm reminding myself that I'm actually doing it. I'm not just talking about it, I'm actually walking out what I talk about.
What do you talk to yourself about?
I'm in the so many things, right? I'm a mirror girl. I love being in the mirror. And I do this. I practice what I'm going to say. I practice conversations that I should have had.
Sure.
Or after leaving a conversation where I've had to shrink just for professionalism, I'm like, what I should have said. And you know what you said to me? I replay conversations so much. Okay, so you do the same.
Too.
Okay.
I'm like a perseverator. Right. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if there's a better word for that, but I will leave a situation and I will replay the whole thing in my mind and then wonder, okay, why did this happen? What is this person now thinking about me hours later? And did I make a good impression? And did that person actually like me or actually enjoy the conversation that we're having? And am I supposed to be at the table?
Wow.
But we all are, right? We all have a spot.
Wow, Ed, that's so powerful, because we feel like we're the only ones who are doing it. And like, just me talking about it and you know, jumping in on that is like, yeah.
Well, needless to say, you had a huge event last night. It was called Illuminate 2026, and this is a capacity building conference, or workshop really, after that MWBE training conference that you had back in October. How did it go?
It was awesome. First of all, I think pivot is the word for 2026.
Here for it.
There were so many words. I thought Illuminate was going to be the word for 2026, and I feel like those two kind of go together. So last night, you know, I'm getting ready, getting all the things ready. We're heading down to Oak House, and I get a call from Dennis. And I'm like, hey, Dennis, what's going on? I'm thinking he's just checking my ETA, and he's like,
where are you?
Yeah, Talia, we have no power.
Wow.
And I'm like, I had no words. I'm like, stop joking, like in my head.
Well, they were downtown Buffalo. They had that big power outage yesterday.
Absolutely, and you guys were covering it.
Right.
But I had no clue about it. And Dennis was, you know, he's a teacher, so he was at school. And he thought like, okay, by the time they got down there, National Grid was out there. So he figured, you know, by the time the event starts, maybe we'll, you know, have power. But National Grid let him know that there was no power. And so immediately I began to pivot. So before calling anyone or alerting anyone, I started calling in all of my downtown favorites. I tried to contact 500 Pro, which is where we had the conference last year. Their phone line, you couldn't even get through their phone lines. The Hyatt, same thing. That was another place that we had our after party for the 2024 conference. They had no power. So it was like, what do we do? And in the interim, I'm like, you know what? The home of, I'm kind of announcing it on the radio. So the home of the Rare Place is Kearns Bowling Alley, which is the only Black-owned bowling alley in New York State, and also a minority and veteran-owned business. I called Dan. I'm like, Dan, it's 5:15. The event starts at 6 p.m. I have 62 people RSVP'd for this event. Can I bring them there? He's like, it's game day. You know what? We can work it out.
Wow.
It's you know, it's not a huge place where you can have a lot of chairs and things of that nature. However, they pivoted. Him and his daughter jumped into action. My husband went down there. They set up banquet chairs and tables, and we made it work. Before I even say anything else, I definitely need to shout out Timeless Tunes. You know, Kenny Cutts, who is now a lieutenant sergeant for the Buffalo Fire. He was on his way, and he's like, Talia, I have to bring all my equipment out. I'm like, okay. And he did it. May Rocky Collective, who was doing the food, she just, you know, pivoted and she came down there. But I was contracted with those two. And so I could have canceled, but Ed, I could not, because these were two MWBE businesses that I was contracted with, and I was not about to let them down.
Well, and it's all about support, right? It's about one hand washing the other and really building up the community.
Right.
And so here at this capacity building session, really it's taking the next step after the conference to say, okay, let's get together. Where are our strengths, but where are our weaknesses, and how do we build from those weaknesses?
It was awesome. First of all, people showed up. I had about 24 businesses show up, and that was great considering, you know, we shot an email out at 5:30.
Yeah.
And people pivoted, and some people did respond and say, hey, we wanted to come, but, you know, when I tell you it was what it was supposed to be, like, you know, the bar was packed. It was people that were just there organically for game night who were like, wait a minute, I'm in MWBE business. Someone said they were in the pipeline. Someone was like, I didn't even know that a program like this existed. You know, and there was an older couple there who said to me, we don't get to see, you know, younger people like yourselves. We haven't seen them in a long time because our kids are, you know, are grown and moved out of state. And so this was nostalgic for them. And they said it made them feel so good. And they wanted them like, are you going to continuously have things like this here? So it was awesome. Businesses were able to get into industry groups. So we gathered them by industry. They were able to talk. We had no name tags. It was completely organic. An amazing turnout. Blueprint The Culture was there on site. So we were doing interviews, taking photos, and people had an amazing time. And so this was actually the kickoff of a cohort that starts next month, which is a 9-month capacity building program where participants graduate at the conference.
So what does somebody need to know here? So, okay, I want to be part of this and I want to learn how to build my business, how to get certified as an MWBE, which is a minority women business entrepreneur. How do I even get involved? Number one. Number two, like, what does that even actually do?
So first of all, the MWBE certification, so there's an MWBE certification that you just named, and then there's an SDVOB certification, which is Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Business. So those are all veteran-owned businesses. This program is gathering both of those together to help them with capacity. If you have those certifications, you qualify to go after contracts, you qualify for grants that are available, funding that's available at lower rates because you are a diverse business, right? Education, training like this, that, you know, our funding source, or our, I won't say sponsor because it's a grant through M&T Charitable Foundation, they fund this because MWBE and SDVOB businesses are low on the totem pole, to be quite honest. And I had a conversation with someone yesterday, and we'll, you know, you and I will dive into that a little bit. It's needed because all of the state funding that's coming down the pipeline has goals on it, about 30% goals, and they need these MWBEs. What's happening is waivers are being signed, so people do not have to, you know, work with these businesses because they can't find them. And the businesses don't know about the opportunities, or they don't have the capacity to go after these opportunities. So getting that certification opens you up to, you know, organizations like mine who offer this training, grants, education, and all of the things.
And this is what you are most passionate about.
Oh my God, yes.
People helping people. I love that though, Talia, because we need help. We need people on the ground, and especially in this community in particular.
Yeah.
We're talking Buffalo's East Side.
Yeah.
I mean, the resources we know are limited.
Right.
The people who live here are looking for means and opportunity and development, and, you know, for so long it never came.
Yeah.
But now here we are. You saw that need, and you're kind of stepping into that role to be almost like a matriarch of this business world.
I would consider myself an auntie. No.
I know. I don't want to like date ourselves or age ourselves.
No, I get you. No. Jokingly, honestly, Ed, I shared last night, you know, with this group of entrepreneurs, what my why. And my why is because when I started in business, I failed horribly. And it wasn't because I wasn't doing business properly, maybe it was, but it was because no one wanted to help. You know, I was one of only 3 MWBE women in construction. And the other 2 were super busy. I mean, they were slammed with work. They were certified. They were doing what they had to do. They didn't have time for me. And I went through a ton of programs. I am an alumni of the MOE program for the UB Center for Entrepreneurial Leadership, 2011, shout out UBCEL. And I went through that program, and it felt like even in the midst of that, I was alone or embarrassed to speak in front of people who are already established, right? And so me, being a Black woman, you know, sitting amongst other people who were at the time married, I was single. It was a lot of different factors. You know, I never looked at my credit. My credit was like a thing that I didn't want to look at. You know, it was kind of like no one taught me growing up that credit was important.
Sure is.
They told me to work and pay your bills, do what you have to do, but no one taught me about credit. And so in that room last night, Ed, I had a survey done right there on the spot. And from that survey, I'm looking at the results, and I cannot wait to share some of the things, because I purposely did not create the workshops or the trainings without getting feedback from the community that needs it, because I don't want to assume what people need, right?
Sure.
So we did this survey. Finances was number 1.
Wow.
People don't know how to build their credit, especially, it's a whole different thing, but we can talk about that at a different time. But credit in our community is like few far and in between. We are the people who get funded or get, you know, credit the least. And so,
and by we, you mean who?
The Black community.
Sure.
Okay, definitely diverse businesses, but when you look at the numbers, you and I have talked about this, you're talking about 30% utilization, and someone can say, oh, I have 30% utilization on my project, we met the goal. Well, sometimes we're talking about between 2 and 5% of that goes to minorities. The other go to WBE businesses who sometimes are set up incorrectly or set up where a husband will put his wife in front, and then all of a sudden they're running this business and she's just the face of the company.
Gaming the system.
Gaming the system, right? And I just talked to ESD about MWBE fraud. They can't control everything. They can't see everything. And so these gaps are happening. And my thought process is, since they cannot see, people are not reporting it, we need to get ready and build capacity and get in front of these contracts, right? make those connections, connect faces to, business names, and learn about the contract. So that's what this program is doing, and that's why I do what I do, because I didn't have this.
One thing that stood out to me in what you were just saying is that people who you looked up to, is what I got from what you were talking about, didn't have time for you. What does that tell you about this industry, number one? But number two, what did that spark inside you to really be that change?
I think a big part of it became, knowing my community, growing up in the Black community, it is almost a competition, especially when you're younger. When you are younger and you are doing something that someone has been doing for years, a lot of times you're almost shunned because they just stepped into the light themselves. And so it's almost like, I don't want to share this light. Let me eat. Let her cook.
We're all cooking, right? Exactly.
Okay,
right.
I need to cook. So I get it on one hand, but on the other, I felt low. I felt alone. I felt like I had to figure it out on my own, which I did with some failure. But what I said to myself is, if a person asks me for help, they will never feel how I felt, because it was such a low moment. It made me want to quit.
Can I tell you something? That is exactly how I feel. And I was talking to one of my colleagues in the newsroom the other day about what is one thing that I will never, ever retreat from, and it's paying it back, paying it forward, and being there to help people who have helped me succeed.
Absolutely.
And, to be a news anchor, it all seems so glamorous. You're under the lights, you get makeup, and, you have producers, and you read from a teleprompter sometimes, or you're out talking to people, but, it sucks. Right? It's not glamorous at all.
Speak your.
I'm here for it,
free.
right? I love my job, but it's a lot of work.
Right.
However, it's a lot of work to get to this point. And if not for people helping me and boosting me and lifting my story, saying my name in the room, then I wouldn't be here. And, that's what you're doing. You're bringing these people together. You're bringing these people into the room because we all deserve a seat at the table.
That's so. Shirley Chisholm said it best, right? And we were talking about that Shirley Chisholm and the statue that Sean Ryan had brought to Forest Lawn Cemetery. If you don't have a seat at the table, bring your own chair, and that is the truth.
Yep.
And you know what? So many times I brought a chair to the table. I'm a little tired of it. At this point, I'll build my own. And I'll invite the people that need to be at the table, because I feel like sometimes I am like X-Men, Mr. X. People come to me and they have all these gifts and these talents, and sometimes they are dealing with imposter syndrome. So they're only telling me a little bit because they think I'm this big person and they think I'm going to judge them. And I help them activate their powers. And I'm like, this is your power. This is what you can use it for. This is how it will serve you and how it will serve others.
It's so interesting because we've got Marjay here.
Yeah.
And your daughter is sitting right next to us.
Yeah, she is.
You must be such an inspiration for her. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, Marjay, but your mom inspires me. She is someone who I look to for as a muse, right? You are such a powerhouse. And when I think about, capabilities, opportunities, I always wonder how the next generation is going to take that spirit that you have and make it even bigger.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I have 3 girls. Marjay is my oldest. As a matter of fact, she's graduating. I'm so proud of her from Kenesha's in May. And she's graduating with her Bachelor's of Science and Digital Media Arts. And so she's an intern for The Rare Place. I get so excited seeing they're different. I'm getting emotional, and I don't do that. They know I don't do that because I'm tough.
It's okay.
I don't do all that. Nah, stand up, handle yourself. But seeing my girls with 3 different personalities, I have my youngest, who's Chrissy, who is the emotional one. She's very loving. She's, a hugger. She's that, that one. Then I have my middle daughter, who is the fighter. She fights for her older sister, right? And then I have Marjay, who basically we grew up together. I had her when I was 19. And so she's 20. I will be 40 in February. And so seeing her, where she is and watching them, they're all a different piece of me at different times in my life. And I'm excited at what they can do. And I'm always trying to, I put in Marjay, what you can do. You can do this. You can do these things. I'm always sharing with my children entrepreneurship. they're like, whatever, okay, I'm gonna play my game. But I'm like, listen, you can do this. I'm telling Marjay, like, she's going into engineering. Open up your own firm. Like right now, like I will help you, right? So I push them, but it's exciting seeing the new generation that has all this tech at their hands that we have not had. I'm still learning and excited about it, but I hope that I leave tenacity, courage, strength. I'm tough, right? In beauty, in business, in building. I hope I leave all those things and really, I'm guiding them the proper way, because we're not perfect, but I work hard, and in turn, I want them to see that, especially being a Black woman, you do not have to eat off the plate that people are serving you. You can cook your own meal.
That's insane. And like insane in a really good way, right? Who considers the idea of just taking matters into their own hands nowadays, right? I mean, the side hustle is powerful, but we're exhausted.
Yeah.
We're working for CEOs who are making millions. We're being paid pennies. How do we, right? But no one really would say, I'm going to be that CEO now, unless they've got some sort of tenacity, and you've got it.
I don't know anything else. I grew up in this. Like my dad, built a company from his basement, and, he's a Marine. He saw things from all over the world. My mom is the epitome of strength, courage, spiciness, toughness, right? My grandmother. I come from a lineage on both sides of very strong people who did not roll over and do not, to this day, roll over. And so, I think that is what has powered me. And then, the ecosystem of seeing people energized and charged, kind of like last night, and, saying things like, you should get into beauty consultant. I thought they are constantly pushing me. It's like the people, they make me feel like a small town celebrity. And I'm like, I'm just a little Black girl who live around the corner in the hood. No, for real. Like, that's it,
No, but you know what? There are people, though, who are unable to get to where you are, even in that neighborhood, right? I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've covered stories on Buffalo's East Side where it's like, we don't have the opportunity, but people are like, well, make your own opportunity.
Yeah.
And when you see somebody like yourself who's doing that, who's still living in the house, isn't it where you grew up?
Yeah. It's the first house my dad purchased.
I mean, that's really big, and you have taken yourself, you've lifted yourself up, and you've taken yourself out of a situation that could have been very, very small and made it very, very big. Yeah. And I was just having that conversation a couple of days ago. Why is the city the way it is? And it's because of its history, right?
Yeah, it's history.
It's because we've never invested in this neighborhood. We've never invested into opportunity for people who are living here, and we've historically been segregated.
Yes.
And so when you know nothing else, that cycle continues and perpetuates itself. But when there's somebody who kind of breaks the cycle, that means so much, especially for the people who are around you.
I feel like, it is our responsibility. And, a lot of times we learn here, we grow here. I always say, Buffalo built me, Buffalo bred me, Buffalo is where I get my bread, okay? The ends, okay, the bag. However, if I get up and I run somewhere else, after this is the place that raised me, I feel like a lot of people do that. And I almost did. I was booking it in 2022.
Going where?
Florida. I couldn't find home there, though. I was actually going to open up a line of supercuts with someone who's also a serial franchisor of multiple different franchises. And he saw something in me and was like, Talia, let's do it. And I accepted it. But my husband, snowplows. This is Florida. Obviously, you can't snowplow. But it was so many different things and reasons. And I truly believe that God kept me here because I could not run and not help a community where I didn't feel like I received help. So at this point, I'm like, you know what? Since I'm here, I may as well kick down doors and bring people along with me. Like, we're here. We are not going anywhere. We're going to learn. We're going to get educated. We're going to get elevated. We're going to do what we need to do. We're going to get these contracts. And we're not going to be dependent on a program or a certification. We're going to, be in the room and get contracts because we're good at what we do and we can compete with the best of them.
So what would you tell somebody who lives in this community, who's listening right now and says, you know what? this conversation inspired me to take matters into my own hands. I want to do what Talia's doing. I want to do something where I can be my own boss, but also make an impact. What would you tell someone?
I would tell them, tap in. I would tell them to head over to the MWBEconference.com. I would tell them if they cannot find anything there, I'm the MWBE coach. I also have a website, the MWBEcoach.com. There's multiple ways to get in contact with me. I'm also on, all the socials as the MWBE coach. Follow me on Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm Talia Johnson-Huff. I am available to you. And if I do not know something, I know someone who does, and I will make sure that you get connected and plugged in. But I will also say, do not just jump. I know there's a ton of books out here that tells you just do it, just jump. Educate yourself, be ready, and create a plan, a roadmap, because even if you do not follow it, at least you have something to go back to, check back to, just for reference. Kind of like that you said, the teleprompter. You may not always follow it, but it's there for your reference to check back to. So if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And so creating a plan is something that I like to help businesses with. We cannot just wing it. We need to be connected to those who are doing the work, who know what to do, and if not, get connected. So the MWBEconference.com is the start. Reach out to me. I would love to have a cohort of 150 people. I will make room. I will make it work, and we're going to continue to do this work. So, that's how you reach me, and I'm going to make sure you get what you need.
This is all the blueprint.
This is the blueprint.
This is how we make things work. This is what we do. This is how we build. And this is how we set things up for the future.
Yeah.
I love what you're doing, Talia.
Ed, I am ecstatic that you're here. I'm ecstatic and excited and thankful for your friendship and partnership and everything that you do, because you know what? You could take information and just be like, okay, I'm going to report it. You're an investigative reporter. I don't trust y'all. No, I'm just
You should, though.
I'm just joking. I'm joking, y'all. I'm joking. Calm down. Everybody calm down. No, but...
Don't tell my boss that.
No, but... you could just say, you know what, thanks for the information. I'm going to go do my own thing. You didn't do that. You have set up meetings. You have collaborated. You constantly connect to me, ask questions. And I love that about you, because it could go so many ways. And I'm honestly... White men don't do that, okay? White men can't jump. But, it doesn't happen. And so I appreciate you for, first of all, always having a yes on your tongue and on your lips when it comes to this community and doing the work. And so this is just the beginning.
I love this.
Yeah,
It's all about collaboration. It's all about building a community, and it's all about uplifting.
Yes.
Where we are in the city of Buffalo. Love
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. Shout out to WUFO being the only, MWBE owned radio station in this state. And Sheila Brown is doing amazing things. So I'm happy, to be here. Shout out to Del Martin, who's also an alumni of UBCEL class of 2011. Shout out to the man in the booth. That's always this is my co-host for real. He don't know. We're always laughing. And really shout out to Blueprint The Culture. And Cheryl Patterson, all the way from Florida, all the work that she does to make sure that, I'm constantly encouraged. Brandy Merriweather, who was just here, with me last week from Budsy, always pushing me, encouraging me. Without these people and without this ecosystem, I wouldn't be, right? And shout out to ESD, our partners. Shout out to Randon Jones, a sponsor. Thank you so much for sponsoring the Capacity Building Program. Buffalo Purchasing Initiative. Oh my gosh. Pursuit Lending. Bank on Buffalo. Shout out to everybody who makes this happen. This has been Blueprint The Culture. This is Ed. I'm going to let you close out Blueprint The Culture.
And for Blueprint The Culture, I'm Ed Drantch. I'll see you right back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Have a great day.
You've been listening to Blueprint The Culture with Talia Johnson-Huff, the MWBE coach, right here on Mix 1080 AM WUFO and Power 96.5 FM. Catch us every Thursday at 11:30 a.m. because every culture has a blueprint and we're building it right here.
I'ma take over this city.